From the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Ticats This Week with RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker.
Seems like forever. It's been 15 days since the Tiger Cats last played. Welcome to Ticats This Week. I'm RJ Broadhead. I'd like to introduce myself to you, sir. I believe you're Luke Tasker. It's been so long since I've seen you.
Yeah, we used to know each other. We grew up together, you and I, RJ.
Yeah, we did. We grew up 3 years with the Ticats Audio Network, and
yes.
It's pretty interesting. We've known nothing in the playoffs as members of the Ticats Audio Network than Montreal and Hamilton playing in the East semifinal.
That's true. Unfortunately, I think this is leading into one of the most challenging, I would say, playoff games just based off of their regular season matchups.
So, okay, let's jump right into that. We're almost going a week ahead, but we'll get into this game here,
yeah, really.
here on Saturday. But there's a few things that are on the line and are important for the final game of the regular season. But Luke, that's huge statement that you think it might be a difficult East semifinal game in Montreal for the Tiger Cats. Expand on that, please.
Unfortunately, I think some of the worst Ticat games this season were against Montreal. Early on in the season, you saw some struggles and sort of some low points from the Ticats. The caveat to that is, you said it's been 15 days since we've seen a Ticat game, and it's a long break here. It feels like a lifetime ago that the Ticats faced Montreal. Their matchups were early on in the season, and as we know, the storyline of this year has been sort of a first half and a second half, and so the Ticats have gone through a transformation and are not playing the same as they were in the first part of the season here. But in experience, it is tough to go and play a team in the playoffs that you did not play very well in the regular season, which leads back to the importance of this last game of the regular season here, because they do have another chance before playoffs start.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, Luke, and put on your player's hat, what is the importance of this game in your opinion?
Yeah, you're going to kind of, on an individual basis, you're going to kind of get a little preview of some of your matchups in some cases. Now, there's going to be guys not playing for both teams. That's just going to be the reality of it. You'll hear Coach O say, though, you don't have the luxury, both in the salary cap and in just the depth of the roster, that it's not like you've got the whole team out. Not all your starters are sitting. And those guys that are playing in the game, that are going to play in the playoffs, you get a little preview of your matchup. Sort of a dry run here, a little spar before the actual fight, and that can kind of give you confidence. You'll think back after this regular season game going into the playoffs. You'll think back to a handful of plays where something happened that you kind of can hang your hat on. Like, I know I can win on. This one out route went really well. I know I can make that cut again, and it's set up to run a double move on that. Or if I do that same type of cut, if I get in that same leverage again, I know that I'll win. I'm going to talk to Bo about that, or Matt Schiltzer, and you get a little confidence on an individual level. I don't know how much I want to hang, how much importance I want to hang on the outcome of this game, on the score. I think you could really sort of talk yourself out of thinking too much about it, whether you win or lose, because I don't think we're going to see, obviously not the full roster and lineup for that we'll see in the playoffs, but also just the amount of play calling or decision making or risk taking. I don't think we'll see as well. So it's a good opportunity. I actually like it, and I'd actually like going to the same city twice too. I think that's very interesting, actually, to go right back to Montreal. I think you can kind of snap right back into form doing that back to back.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I think there is, sports professional teams. These two teams are really close, and any slight advantage you can get, and going into Montreal and maybe putting some doubt in their minds with a win on Saturday might be a factor. It's interesting. I've been following Montreal a little bit this week, Luke, just to see how they're approaching it, and we probably won't see much, if any, of Cody Fajardo. Austin Mack may play because he's 115 yards behind Tim White for the most receiving yards in the CFL, so that might be something we watch. But they're really pushing to get fans in the stands, and they're almost building it for the East semifinal. They want it to be loud. They're calling Hamilton bitter rivals, and they want to make it uncomfortable for the Tiger Cats and an uncomfortable place to play. So to me, it sounds like they're trying to send a message, even though it might not be their full team that we're going to see in the East semifinal. They want to win this game, and they want to make sure that Hamilton has no confidence coming into Montreal. I think it could work the opposite way if the Tiger Cats can beat the Alouettes. And really, especially that second game against the Alouettes, the Tiger Cats probably should have won it. So this is a chance for them to just put that seed of doubt in Montreal's head. Do you think it would play a factor if the Tiger Cats can do that when it comes to the East semifinal?
Yeah, I almost want to play this. I almost want to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. And what I mean by that is if they lose, I mean, if the Ticats lose this game, I think that as a player and sort of the psychology of the locker room and the football, I think you can just be like, don't worry about it, guys. Like next week's the real thing. And like, we'll have all of our guys in and, that's when we're going to take care of business. We're just happy to be healthy and out of this one, that's if they lose. If they win the game, this last regular season game, then I think you could say, this is, we're the best team now. We were the best team that week, and now it's the next week, and we might as well be again. Those early games in the season, Ticats were really, really struggling in the red zone, really struggling in the turnover ratio. They were -10 at the halfway point of this season in the turnover ratio, and now they're 0, meaning they were -10, and then they turned into a plus 10 team. The Alouettes, in the second half of the season are +5 as opposed to being +10 Ticats. So, they have turned things around. They are a better football team. And I guess you could, if they win this game, you might as well write the story for yourself as a player and as, within the culture of the room that, that was us then and we're better than the Alouettes now. I just, again, I kind of go back to the idea that I think you're going to sort of, you can make it work both ways here, but you want to win some individual battles and have that in your mind and on film as you get ready for that following week.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach O didn't waste any time this week coming back from the bye week saying that the starting quarterback's going to be Bo Levi Mitchell. Is that what you expected going into this week, I guess?
I did, yeah. I would have been shocked if we saw him get rested. Apart from any injuries that we wouldn't have known about, and thankfully it turns out that it looks like that's not the case. But he's just missed so much time this season, and then in the games since he's been back, seen great drives, some great throws, and some crucial turnovers as well. So I think another game makes a ton of sense. Not to say that he's going to play the whole thing. That would be sort of unlikely, but just like they've done over the past couple of weeks here, I think Bo still is going to benefit from more reps.
You talked about the turnover ratio. That's been an issue for him. 10 interceptions, and Montreal's going to be going all out to get a defensive touchdown. They have 9 defensive touchdowns this season. They've never had 10 in their franchise history, so they're going to be going after it. So even though it's a meaningless game, it's still going to be a challenge for the Hamilton offense to not turn that ball over because Montreal's really got nothing to lose. They'll be going for that record, won't they?
Why not? Think about being an Alouette defensive player. There's sort of a especially if you're a vet and you happen to be playing. I think of Brandon Revenberg and Simone Lawrence for the Ticats who are in the lineup this week. Those types of players for the Alouettes are, you just want to get to the playoffs a little bit. There's something inside of you that just is like, boy, this is just an opportunity to sort of get hurt. But if you're a defensive guy, there's a legitimate goal to strive for. There's a real reason to kind of go all out in this matchup. So, I certainly think so. I think that they will be ball hawking and trying to make it difficult on Bo and force him into some positions where he's maybe more likely to make an errant throw.
Carthel Flowers-Lloyd has been a good story. We both have enjoyed watching him on special teams. He does a great job blocking when Tyreek McAllister is returning, but where he really shines is A guy who's 6'2", 6'3", and can absolutely fly, runs like the wind, and he's able to get so many tackles. He's going to lead the CFL in special teams tackles. He has 30. He's 8 away from breaking the CFL record. I talked to him this week, Luke. He knows he's 8 away, and he kind of was kicking himself. He took some penalties earlier in the year, and he felt that, he probably would have had that record by now. So he's gunning for 8 special teams tackles, which I believe would also be a record in a game.
It's got to be, yeah. Yeah.
So talk about stuff to play for. This will be fun to watch big number 43 for the Ticats flying all over the place on special teams.
He's just been a blast all season. I ran into him after a game, and you're right. The way that he moves on the field, he's actually surprisingly big. He kind of gives you the sense that he's a sort of a classic, maybe like receiver body running out there. He looks like a Sam linebacker, which of course makes sense, but he moves in an unbelievable way. And he's changed games this year for the Ticats. He has made an absolute tangible difference. And 100% those guys that do that on special teams and lead the league, they are some of the guys who are talked about more than any other player in opponent team meetings. Because
interesting.
So you have to cover that. It's not just an offensive player where the defense is matching up. That player like Carthel Flowers-Lloyd shows up on every single special teams unit. And so different body types have to match up with him in different blocking against him, being blocked by him. It's just, there's all sorts of scenarios where a player like that makes a difference, and it takes up a ton of time from an opponent's team to get ready for a guy like that. And he's been just nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, and he's an entertaining guy. If for fans, what you see on the field is pretty much what he is: high energy, full of life. And I said to him, "You're such a big guy. Does your speed surprise the opponents?" He says, "They just got to watch tape." Do your homework, and you'll know that CFL is a force in the CFL. Pretty good initials, too, if you're going to play in this league.
Yes. Wow. Amazing. That's he was destined.
Yes. The CFL, the Tiger Cats team awards were announced. Tim White is not going to play in the game, but he was the most outstanding player for the Tiger Cats. I assume it was a battle between he and James Butler, but he can finish first in receiving yards in the CFL, which is quite significant because Tim White, I think, had a 4-yard receiving game this year. He had a 0 reception game this year. So he's really done it in counting the game he's not going to play. He's really done it in 15 games to lead the CFL in receiving yards. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been he's made a difference as time and again as well. And part of with all the quarterback struggles, you're so intimately linked with that as a receiver. So a lot of there's times during the season where we didn't see Tim White probably for a lot of external reasons, and he hung in there. And then as things settled and as Taylor Powell started playing well, Matt Schiltz and Tim White have always had a good connection. And then recently with Bo as well, he hung in there and then was ready to be a difference maker when he got the opportunity. So good for him, and I thought that was well-deserved.
Tim White, 9 touchdowns, should probably end up leading the Tiger Cats in that category. James Butler with 8, he won't play either. Terry Godwin, he'd need 4 touchdowns to pass Tim White. It would be an amazing game for Terry. He's capable of it, and we'll see what happens. But how much of a factor do you think for Tim White is 8 tackles this season were? That was one of your favorite stats I threw out this year. 8 tackles, Tim White.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of those came on in turnover scenarios, and so that's sort of that's one of those backwards stats, But honestly, it doesn't go uncoached. It's not something that's not talked about. It's even said that and at times I remember certain sort of strange drills where you have to flip your mindset real quick. If the turnover happens, then become a defensive player. And so that is funny that the touchdown leader also has a decent, nothing close to the lead, but a decent number of tackles as well.
Yeah, it is. one of those crazy stats. You don't expect a receiver to have that many tackles. We'll just run through the other team awards. Most outstanding defensive player, Simone Lawrence. Most outstanding Canadian, Stavros Katsantonis. Most outstanding offensive lineman, Brandon Revenberg. Most outstanding special teams, Tyreek McAllister. We've talked about Carthel Flowers-Lloyd, and I'm sure that was the debate between those two, but McAllister's been dynamic. And most outstanding rookie, Taylor Powell. Just maybe pick one or two there, Luke, that you really agree with, or that you maybe don't.
No, I mean, all those guys, the awards, like always, you wish more guys were in those categories. I don't disagree with any of those, though. Taylor Powell, I think that's really well deserved. I mean, he stepped in, he started the season off, came in late, and then was a third string quarterback. And you think, okay, you're going to have a year of learning. You'll be able to understand the CFL better. You'll be able to watch Bo Levi Mitchell for a season doing his thing and learning. And before you knew it, he was in charge of the offense, and went through a coordinator change and really played very well. I think I'm not alone in that the consensus is that he did a good job taking over and learning, and I think he's got a CFL career ahead of him. So I think that's well deserved. We've talked about Carthel Flowers-Lloyd, and I kind of would love to see him awarded in a way. I mean, he was a huge difference maker. But the Stavros Katsantonis, what I think. I think he had some absolutely heroic performances this year, full games.
Yes.
And specific plays that were crucial and critical, and really, really happy to see him awarded.
Yeah, it's all deserving, definitely. And you could have a couple of guys for each award, like Simone, another amazing season. And really, if you look at his statistics, it was a slow start for him, but an amazing finish. And he's right near the either leading the team or right near the lead in almost every defensive category. So he has been a force. I know Jameer Thurman's had a great season, but Simone definitely deserving, and he's hungry for the Grey Cup. You just get that sense with Simone, don't you? That this job, this career is not going to be complete unless he gets the team to the Grey Cup and wins that Grey Cup. And wouldn't it be a great story if that's this year in Hamilton?
Yeah, and he's one of the guys that I just really want it for on a personal level, for him to have a Grey Cup. That would just be such a meaningful thing for the Ticat community that Simone Lawrence does that. And it's just an unbelievable way that he's performed this season, just with his energy and his production, both kind of leadership and production. And you see guys get older in their career, and sometimes you'll see a production drop a little bit, but their value comes in a different way. Their value comes from picking up the younger guys, kind of teaching, being great in the locker room and in the position meetings, and sort of their value add is still there, but a little different. With Simone, he's still playing at an unbelievably high level. So he brings all that veteran stuff, all those extras with him in the leadership and in being great for the organization. But he's still, getting 12 tackles on a night sometimes and stuff. So it's pretty spectacular to the way that he's performed this year. And yeah, I want a Grey Cup for him very badly.
Well, we'll see if it happens. The next game for the Tiger Cats is Saturday in Montreal. It's a 4:00 start. Of course, Luke and I'll have the call on the Ticats Audio Network. We want to talk about some depth chart changes for the Tiger Cats in this one. The secondary's kind of been a story all season with injuries and new guys. So all 5 guys in the secondary are going to be first-year starters. And full-time with Stavros, Katsantonis would have the most experience of anyone there. But, Tunde, without the injury, probably wouldn't have given Stavros much of an opportunity to get in there. And Katsantonis has really taken advantage of it. But the corners, Will Sunderland, David Vereen will be getting his first CFL action. The halves are Kenneth George Jr., Dexter Lawson, of course, at safety, Stavros Katsantonis. So it's, experience on the job for the secondary, and they'll be tested. And with David Vereen going in for Richard Leonard, who's been banged up quite a bit this year, it's maybe an opportunity for Vereen to show what he can do. Even though it's a meaningless game, they're always looking for help in the secondary.
Yeah, you're right, and you kind of need some depth there. Those guys are also a lot of times the guys that are making a difference in special teams too. So good for Vereen. I you really hope that Richard Leonard bounces right back and shows up. He's a difference maker. Has been for years and years. But an exciting moment for some of those young guys, and that whole secondary just young and ready to go. And I'm excited to watch to see them play. Who knows about Cody Fajardo, and who knows about what that Montreal offensive attack will look like? But a great opportunity for them to go make a difference.
For sure. The linebacking crew is going to be the same with Simone, Thurman, and Edwards, but Carthel, Flowers, Lloyd might see some action at will linebacker, so that would be I know he'd be excited to be out there, so we'll keep an eye on that. Thing that really stands out is Casey Sales, probably going to be the sacks leader for the Tiger Cats with 7. He's not going to play in this game, but still the Tiger Cats are too deep at every defensive lineman position going into this game against Montreal, and all good players. You got Jamal Davis, Jared Hewitt, Ted Laurent, and Jagara Davis starting. Then Mason Bennett, Dylan Wynn, Mo Diallo, and Jonathan Kongbo, all right there. They're really deep on the defensive line.
Well, yeah, a lot of names there. And I think that is Mark Washington and Coach O. Like, I think they want those guys. Like Ted's got to be fresh. And talk about the way Simone's playing. Ted was starting off the season with a lot of sacks. He was getting involved. It's just great to watch him still making plays. And of course, you're not going to have him out there for 60 plays on a game. So you're going to have guys ready to go. Dylan Wynn, his season has been a frustration for him due to injury, and then repeat injuries, and then just having trouble getting back and getting in and staying in. And a bye week now. Maybe he's going to get just a handful of snaps, I would think, in this first game against Montreal. But I would love to see if the stars align for Dylan Wynn and the playoffs come and he finds himself at his healthiest time. And I think it is possible that that's going to be the case. So we'll see how much he actually plays in this first go in Montreal.
And just a little side note, Jamal Davis was released by Montreal, and he is excited to play against them. So big number 99, you might hear his name a little bit on the Ticats Audio Network on Saturday. On the offensive side, we talked about Bo starting. Taylor Powell will be the backup. Kai Loxley will be in there, just automatic on short yardage and so athletic, so many things he can do. Matt Schultz will rest this game, not injured, just they're not going to play him in this one. So Bo will get a chance to get into a groove. One name that really stands out to me is Tayon Fleet Davis. Luke, we saw him in the preseason, and he looked really good. And he's been on the practice roster, or as Coach O calls it, the waiting room. And he's been mimicking the opposition's running backs throughout practices going into games, and he's an entertaining guy. He was really good in the preseason. He stands out in practice. I'm excited to see what he can do. Are you?
Yeah, very excited. And you've got James Butler ready to go, but I remember we were sort of excited in preseason. And that's so funny about preseason. There's so much you don't know about what's going on. And we haven't talked about it much really since, if at all. But young running back coming in this late in the season, the first thing I think about, RJ, you probably can sense this coming, is I just hold on to the football. First thing to just every play, just remind yourself that the most important thing for you to do is make sure that the offense has the ball the following play again. And after that, I hope that we see some excitement there. That would be a fun part of this last game of the season for a young guy like that.
Well, we are definitely focused on the playoffs. This final game of the regular season won't affect the standings, but it is really, really fascinating how this season turned out, that Montreal will host Hamilton in the final game of the regular season, and then the exact same thing in the East semifinal the following week. There'll be a little bit on the line, though. Maybe just that tinge of confidence you need going into the postseason. Just your final thoughts on this game, Luke, and maybe a reason why people want to listen to this one.
Well, for one, the names that we've mentioned, the new guys and some of the young players that we've seen, just so interesting to be back to back in Montreal. To go to the city twice in 2 weeks, it'll just be it'll just be a fun part of this of the playoff story for the CFL. As a fan, as an onlooker, you just want health. Not that the players and coaches aren't thinking of that as well, but you're never as a player focused on staying healthy. Like, you have a job to do. But I hope that we see a reasonably healthy game and the Ticats come out, mostly uninjured. And like I said, I think some of the individual battles, some wins on the offensive line, some of these receivers sort of, getting used to this Montreal defense, which is an unusual opportunity that you have back to back. But really excited to see that happen.
Well, Tiger Cats with a win would finish at 9-9, and we'll see if they can do it. They haven't lost back-to-back games in the second half of the season. Still lots to come this week on Ticats Audio Network. Courtney Stephen, I saw him at practice today this week, so he's doing his homework. He'll be all set for Ticats game day with Mike Daly. That'll come on the Ticats Audio Network on Saturday morning. Bubba O'Neill and Andy Fantus will have the pregame show as the Tiger Cats visit Montreal. That'll be at 3 o'clock, and Luke and I will have the call at 4 o'clock on the Ticats Audio Network. Hope you can tune in for the final game of the regular season.
It's been another busy week for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Luke Tasker and RJ Broadhead have covered it all, and now we would like to hear from you. Email us anytime at gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.